Christina says, what if you dress like a lady, but you're a tomboy at heart? I dress for attention. Well, there's the problem that you're going to run into, Christina, if you dress for attention, but you're a completely different person at heart, right? If this isn't who you are and you're just doing that and it's like totally incongruent with who you are as a person and you're literally just doing that for attention, you might be getting the wrong kind of attention and you might be sending the wrong kind of message to men. And so you want to dress and you want to look good and you want to, do things that make you look good, but you want to do it in congruence with who it is as you are as a person, right? And you don't want to, put on this big show only to be like, you're like, oh, this is the show, right? And then you're like, boom, here I am, right? And you're a totally different person than you kind of portrayed yourself to be through your clothing. You don't want to do that because what's going to happen is it's going to feel like a bait and switch for the guy a lot of times, right? Some guys, it might be a welcome switch because there's a lot of guys doing that as well, right? And so you want to have congruence. You want to be authentic. You want to have clothing and style that reflect who you are and what you're doing. And you don't want it to be this thing that you do for show and then you're in your pajamas all the time after the third or fourth date or once you guys become in a relationship or whatever, right? Because it's deceiving to a lot of guys. And it's like one of the number one things that guys complain about. I actually have a cousin who got married a couple of years ago. And after he got married, his demeanor totally changed. And I was talking to him about it because he had been dating this girl for years before they got married. And I was like, what happened? Like, what happened with you? Why are you acting like this? How's your marriage or whatever? And he's like, oh, well, she tricked me for 8 years, right? She tricked me and she tried to pretend like she was this outgoing person that wanted to do all these things and go and do all these places. And he's like, the day after we got married, she completely stopped doing all those things that she had been doing up until that point. And she told me that it wasn't really her. And he's like, I feel like she tricked me. And she tricked me for years just so that we could get married. And now we're married and she's a completely different person than who she said she was. And there's plenty of women. I guarantee that right now there are plenty of women in our community who've had this exact same experience with some men that they've dated or that they've gotten married to, where they thought he was a certain way. And then when they got married or they got into a relationship or a couple months down the road after they were hooked, all of a sudden they find out that he's a completely different guy. And so you don't want to fake a whole bunch of stuff going on ever, Christina. You want to connect with people in a real, authentic way. Be real. Be real. Keep it real, Christina. That's my advice to you. Keep it real.